the pitch black silence of an underground metal cage, a boy awakens with no memory, no identity, and only fear gripping him. As the elevator shakes violently, rattling chains and grinding gears, echoing in the confined space. And for a moment, he can't even remember who he is, only that he is falling, rising, and completely alone. And then suddenly, blinding light floods in as the elevator doors open, and dozens of boys stare down at him. Some curious, some wary, and others almost aggressive in their excitement. And they pull him out into a vast green field dotted with crude wooden structures and towering stone walls that block out the sky, walls so massive and foreboding that the boy immediately feels trapped, a caged animal in a world that makes no sense. And they call this place the Glade, a strange self-contained society where all the boys arrive the same way, alone,
build our own
scared,
shelter,
and with no memories, stripped
whatever
of
we
everything
need.
except
The
their
box
names.
provides.
And it is here,
Congratulations.
in this overwhelming new world, that the boy slowly
Set
remembers
up
himself,
by who, though? Who
realizing
put
at
us
last
here?
that his name is Thomas. And as he tries
we
to
don't.
process what is happening, he meets Albie, the calm but commanding
No.
leader who runs the Glade with strict rules to keep order, and Newt, the steady second in command whose kindness
I'm not around,
balances
he's in
Albie's
charge.
authority.
That's a good
And they
thing he's
explain
around
that the
him.
elevator box will rise regularly to bring supplies of food, tools, medicine, and clothing, and every month a new boy will appear, also with no memory except his first name. And the walls they warn are the only thing standing between them and the maze, a sprawling labyrinth of concrete and ivy that shifts its paths every night and hides lethal creatures known as Grievers, monsters of metal and flesh that will kill anyone caught outside when the doors close. And as Thomas walks through the Glade, observing the other boys tending crops, cooking meals, building structures, and mapping the territory, he begins to understand that life here is a fragile balance of routine and survival. And yet, despite the danger, he is drawn to the maze, compelled to understand it, to explore it, to defy it. And his curiosity sets him apart, because the other boys have learned to fear it, to obey it, and to accept their confinement as the only reality they know. And then one day, the elevator rises once again, earlier than expected, and to everyone's astonishment, the doors open to reveal a girl, the first female to ever arrive in the Glade, clutching a note that says, "She's the last one, ever." And she collapses into a week-long coma, but in fleeting
you worry
moments she
about
calls
that?
Thomas's name, hinting at a strange connection that none of the boys can yet understand. And shortly after, a boy named Ben, who had previously been stung by a griever and gone through the changing, an agonizing process where fragments of memory return in a violent and confusing way, lashes out at Thomas, nearly killing him, and is swiftly banished for breaking the rules, thrown into the darkness beyond the walls where no one can survive, leaving the Gladers shaken and fearful. And then, as the maze continues to shift and the Grievers grow more aggressive, Minho, the keeper of the runners, and Albie venture into the labyrinth in search of answers, but Albie is stung and loses control, attacking Minho. And the gates begin to close, threatening to trap them inside forever, and without hesitation, Thomas races into the maze to save them, becoming stranded alongside the injured Albie and the skilled but panicked Minho. And as night descends, the Grievers awaken, and Thomas must rely on instinct, using the ivy-covered walls to pull Albie to safety, while dodging the monstrous creatures that move with terrifying precision. And together, Thomas and Minho manage to trick several Grievers off a cliff, surviving the night against impossible odds. And when morning comes, the gates open, and the Gladers are astounded at what Thomas has done, marking him as both reckless and extraordinary, earning him a place among the runners, the elite group who map the maze in a desperate bid to find a path to escape. And as Thomas trains, studies, and explores, he begins to notice patterns in the walls, signs that the maze is more than a random prison, but a complex puzzle designed to test, to push, and to transform. And then, As the situation escalates, Teresa awakens from her coma, communicating telepathically with Thomas, revealing that she triggered the ending, and suddenly the world shifts, the sky turning gray and permanent. The elevator box ceases to arrive with supplies, and the maze doors fail to close at night, allowing Grievers to invade the Glade freely, taking one boy each night, spreading terror, fear, and desperation among the group. And in the midst of this chaos, Albie, tormented by visions from the changing, attempts to destroy the maps that the runners have so carefully compiled. But Minho and Newt had secretly saved the originals. And as Thomas examines the maps, a revelation strikes him. If he layers them by section instead of by day, the maze begins to form a code, letters and words hidden in the structure itself, and when he pieces them together, they spell a chilling message. Float, catch, bleed, death, stiff, push. Words that hint at a path forward, but still leave questions.
Look around, Thomas!
Realizing
Look around!
that understanding the maze requires sacrifice, volunteers to be stung by a griever, enduring days of agonizing pain and hallucinations during the changing, until at last he awakens with full memories, remembering Wicked, the organization behind the maze, his own role in creating it alongside Teresa, and the secret of the Griever Hole, the hidden passage that offers a chance to escape. And with this knowledge, Thomas rallies the Gladers, convincing them to make a final desperate push through the maze, fighting Grievers at every turn, losing friends in brutal clashes, and relying on courage, teamwork, and ingenuity to survive. And when they reach the control chamber at the end of the Griever Hole, they realize the final word in the code, push, is an instruction rather than a phrase. And with Chuck's guidance, Thomas presses the button that shuts down the maze once and for all, opening the way to freedom, only to be confronted by scientists observing them, and by Gally, who throws a knife in a final act of rage, only to be stopped when Chuck heroically sacrifices himself. And moments later, a rescue team bursts in, eliminating the scientists, evacuating the remaining Gladers, and taking them to a new safe facility where they can eat, rest, and recover. And as Thomas looks around at the survivors and the ruined world outside, he realizes that this was only phase 1, that the maze, the trials, and the horrors they endured were only the beginning of a far greater and more dangerous journey. And the story ends with the survivors, battered, scarred, but alive, facing a world that is just as terrifying as the maze itself, and knowing that their courage, their friendship, and their will to survive will be tested even further in the trials yet to come. And that's it for The Maze Runner, at least for now. If you enjoyed the breakdown and want more crazy movie stories just like this, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next recap.